Education for life is the aim of our work. And Dr. Montessori described her work with the children as an aid to life. While I was trying to look up the meaning of education and discussing with a colleague, we learned that the word education is derived from the Latin words educare, educere, and educatum, which means to nourish, to draw out, and the act of teaching or training. These roots collectively suggest that education involves both nurturing qualities within a person and drawing forth their innate potential. And what is life? To us adults, life means making choices, responsibilities, independence, family, self-reliance, career establishment, community involvement, and so on. We wake up in the morning to do daily tasks, have plans, we fulfill our goals, we interact with the environment, we change the environment, and hopefully grow a little each passing day. We adults know, or hopefully should know, what we want to do with our lives. We consciously make complex life choices, take decisions, make plans, have ambitions, but for the child, it is so very different. Everything is new to him at birth. He has no idea, no knowledge of this world. At birth, he seems to us as an inert being. And most of us adults think that in the initial weeks, he only drinks, sleeps, and excretes. Yes? He is taking baby steps to discover his environment and the world. He is learning and growing using his senses and his movements. At birth, he is so dependent. He has no language, no voluntary movements. Yet, by 2.5 to 3 years, he would have sufficient voluntary movements to help him with his daily routine. He would have acquired a language following all the rules of grammar and syntax. For him to acquire so much in such a short span of time, the child must have been born with an innate potential, or rather an innate immense potential. Dr. Montessori, based on her skill as an observer and her brilliant intuitive powers, told us that this child, up to around the age of 6, has a huge potential and is endowed with special powers that help him to actualize this potential. And now neuroscience, with modern technology, brain mapping, brain imaging, is proving that Dr. Montessori is right. This potential within the child has no fixed form. As for the young child, life is all about actualizing this potential. Dr. Montessori, based on her observation, discovered that the child up to 6 years of age is blessed with unconscious powers to create his conscious mind. The child is not aware of having these powers. She discovered during birth to 6, the child is born with a unique mind that is very different from the adult's mind. And she termed this mind as the absorbent mind. It enables the child to absorb things from the environment. The other power this young child has are the sensitive periods, which enable the child to create psychical human characteristics like language, coordinated movement, intelligence, social behavior, and adapt to his environment. Thus, with absorbent mind, the sensitive periods, and human tendencies, the child will incarnate his environment, and by 6 years, Dr. Montessori said that this child adapts to civilization at the level it has reached when he enters it, whatever level that may be. The child has the potential for language, but which language is not fixed. We cannot teach language to the child. He just has to be surrounded by people who speak to create his own language. Hence, the child can learn any language or languages that he is surrounded by in his environment with ease during his first 6 years of life. The child has the potential for coordinated movements. Again, which type of movements is not fixed. The child needs to see people perform their daily routine to create his movements. When we say coordinated movements, we mean that, or rather they are the movements that we make by choice to carry out a task chosen by us. If he sees adults using chopsticks, he will acquire that movement. If he sees adults eating bread and vegetables with his hands, he will eat with his hands. It is the child's work that gives form to this potential. He makes it real by his own activities in and upon the environment. We adults cannot do this work for him. I think we need to educate our Bollywood filmmakers and maybe some parents, because they have this famous dialogue, मैंने तुम्हें उंगली पकड़ के चलना सिखाया, मैंने तुम्हें बोलना सिखाया. Sorry, we actually don't do anything. The child has to be surrounded by us for him to create his own language and his movement. So Dr. Montessori says that we have to help the child to draw out his potential. And this drawing out has to begin at birth. Education must begin from birth, and then she goes on to say, education is education for life. To live life, we need to be independent on physical, social, and emotional level. Be able to make choices, persevere with our choices, take responsibility for it, be self-aware, confident, socially developed, and be lifelong learners and be at peace with oneself and the world around. The seeds for being independent, the ability to make choices, take responsibility, etc., have to be laid from birth onwards. Dr. Montessori says that from birth to 3 years, the child is constructing himself unconsciously. He is creating and building characteristics, and from 3 to 6 years, he is consolidating and refining what he has acquired. But now, in this phase of 3 to 6, he becomes aware of what he has created, and now he works consciously by choosing to do things. Cognitive neuroscientist Adelaide Diamond too emphasizes that the early years are crucial for developing foundation skills like executive functions, which are built through purposeful activities in and upon the environment. Executive functions are the mental skills that help us plan, focus, remember instructions, and manage multiple tasks to achieve goals. The brain develops connections at its fastest rate during the first 5 years of life. And then she goes on to say that early experiences shape lifelong learning potential and overall thinking. And overall well-being. So education has to consider all these aspects. Education is not just about reading, writing, and arithmetic. This young child is creating her voluntary movements. The creation of involuntary movements begin in the uterus. He has the tendency to move, tendency to imitate. As soon as the child can sit and his hands are free, he shows us that he wants to use his hands. He may not be speaking yet, but will somehow indicate that he wants to do things for himself. He may try to grab the spoon when you try to feed him. He will cry if we do something for him that he was striving to do. And Dr. Montessori, as we know, says that the cry of the young child is to help me do things by myself. This is because this young baby has a huge potential towards independence. Birth itself is a greatest step towards independence, isn't it? Um, he also feeds himself for the first time. Earlier, he was dependent on his mother, but now he has to feed himself by suckling at mother's breast. And when he feels he has had enough, he will stop. Could we make him drink more milk at that time? We couldn't, right? We would just let him be. But think that same child, when he starts eating cooked food, what do? Do we respect his wish when he says, no, I have had enough? We don't, right? We use all sorts of blackmailing, emotional drama, one bite for mama, one bite for papa, isn't it? One bite for me, and so on, right? So, of course, we do it with very good intention as we are concerned about his health. But this is with respect to his physical well-being. We need to consider his psychical aspect too. We should not be an obstacle to his development. Gradually, the child will think that my decision is not to be acknowledged. So what is the point of it? In the same way, when the child wants to dress by himself, put on socks by himself, we push his hands away and we do it for him. Let's pause for a second and think what that does to the child's budding personality. We adults must be supportive during this period. Give him the time that he needs. Help him where he needs help. Just that much help, not more. And sometimes that help is not doing it for him, but showing him how to do it. We should not do anything that the child can do by himself. Can you please play the video? Oops. Oh, dear me. It's okay, it's okay. It's there. Okay, he is 11 months old. And did you see that just that much help which was offered by turning over the fork? Thank you. Right? So children who are in the process of mastering their movements are constantly looking for cues from the adults who care for them. When they get a positive response, they develop faith in their own perspective. In their own capacities. For example, when the child goes up the slide, which is within his capabilities, he will turn back to look at the adult to see how the adult feels about it. Here, apart from our spoken language, our body language plays an important role as well. Our expressions, the shift in our body, also gives the child a cue if it is safe or not. The same applies when the child is trying out something for the first time. Being around and having positive approach towards it, just with your facial expression and body language, gives the child the signal that I can do it too. As he keeps on growing and he gains control of his movements and he gets more and more of his language, he starts to express the fact that he wants to do things by himself. A child of 1.5 to 2 years wants to do things that we are doing. He would like to carry folded clothes, put clothes in the washing machine, set the table, etc. Yes, he will take a lot of time. So we need to give him sufficient time to do it. We adults set the table because we have to do it. It is a daily chore that we need to do. But for a child, it will give him an opportunity to further coordinate his movements. He will repeat the movements by carrying one piece of crockery at a time. This young child needs to be constantly challenged, continuously challenged. He remains to be involved. Dr. Montessori reminded us that in animals, the development of all 4 limbs goes simultaneously. But in man, it is not so. Walking happens around the same time all over the world. We know that when a child is about 12 months old, he will walk, plus minus 1 or 2 months. But that may not be the same for the hand, because the development of the hand is guided by the mind. The more intricate the work, the more it needs the care and guidance of an intelligent mind. There is no limitation to human movements. He is 3 years, 6 months. Yeah? Lovely, isn't it? There are many adults who tell me when I show this that, oh, even I don't cut like that. Right? So at this age of around 2.5 to 3, this young child is the most willing and contributing member of your house. He's willing to do everything without charging anything. Yes? He would like to work without complaining. So for the first 2.5 to 3 years, we have to make sure that this child is surrounded by adults who are self-aware of themselves, aware of their movements, their language, and aware of the child's needs and his development. We have to support him so that he becomes skilled, becomes independent, builds his intelligence and his personality. Oops, sorry. The Montessori environments are prepared to support this developing child for life. We have 3 environments for the children aged between birth to 6 years. Nido environment for the child up to around 1 year. Infant community for the child who can walk to around 2.5 years of age. And then we have the Casa, which is an environment for children between 2.5 to 6 years of age. However, the child in these environments is from say 2 hours to 6.5 hours only. And hence the prepared educators of these prepared environments not only support the child development at school, but also helps parents by informing them about child development and understand how to support the child at home. It is crucial to make the parents understand how important it is for the child to become independent. In the Montessori context, an individual is independent when he is able to function for himself, when he can think and decide and act for himself, but within the social framework of the environment. When he can make independent, responsible decisions for himself and for the needs of the environment. When an individual is independent, he will become confident, has increased self-esteem. They usually do not have to rely on others to make choices. They make their own decisions and are able to face challenges that come their way. The child, thus, is not only physically independent, but also psychologically independent. The young child thus needs to learn basic skills of everyday life: to pour, to wash, dust, sweep, eat, dress, and look after himself and the environment. All these tasks have some purpose. At the Casa, as soon as the child comes to us, we present him with the activities of daily living that will aid him with his functional independence. Many a times, parents are concerned and occasionally complain that my child need not learn activities of care of self and care of environment. Have you got that? He doesn't need to do sweeping. I don't think he needs to learn mopping, isn't it? So, because they say that we have house help and they will be having house help for the rest of their lives. But that is not the point. The child in the first years of his life is interested in doing practical work because he works upon improving himself. constructing himself, whereas we do it because we have to do it for its outer purpose. We cannot avoid it. We will be very happy if our house help does it for us or a machine does it for us. But for the child, this work is developmental. All this work is purposeful work. It involves coordination of movement, where the will, intelligence, and movement have to work in harmony. Let's take pouring for an example. The intelligence has to understand what needs to be done, and the will makes the choice. Then the will activates the movements to obey the intelligence and perform the movement of pouring. Throughout the process of pouring, the intelligence keeps giving instructions and gets feedback on what is happening. If the grains are spilled over, the intelligence will give feedback that when the presentation was shown to me, there was no spillover. It is the will which provides the energy and the determination to keep on trying, keep on repeating. And this is amply supported by the tendency of repetition and perfection. The freedom of movement, balanced by inhibition of movement, gradually enables the child to develop self-discipline and will. Each practical life activity has an order, sequence, and logic. It helps the child with logical and sequential thinking. It aids classification. He develops a habit of judging his own action independently and objectively. His will develops, and we know that the strength of the human character depends on the strength of one's will. A strong will is essential for one to be able to make the right decisions and abide by it against all odds. Will enables one to persevere in his efforts until he has reached his goal, which hopefully will stay for a lifetime if he gets positive support throughout his growing years. He also develops the ability to focus and concentrate, as these practical life activities are offered with precision. They are offered with the right amount of challenge that will spark his interest. He will want to repeat and keep at it till he is successful. Once attached to these activities, which are intelligent and purposeful, he will seek opportunities to perform purposeful activities and purposeful actions. This attitude is called the work attitude. He tries to perform any activity in his environment, even if he's unfamiliar with the technique of performing it. He is able to think for himself and act for himself. He doesn't have to depend on anyone to do it for him. And by being able to do it for himself and for others, he can participate better in the social situation and can become and belong to his society in a better way. The seeds of Saparya are laid. The child also needs to understand the web of interdependency that will help him be rooted in his life. Many of the practical life activities have a connection between them, and they all contribute to a bigger process. For example, a child who washes the table may produce many wet cloths. Then another child will wash them and hang them to dry. Later, another child will remove them off the clothesline, fold them, and put it back in its place. And if some needs to be ironed, it will go to another basket. And another child who wishes to iron the clothes will iron them and then place it back in its place. Thus, each child does his individual work, and all these individual work contribute to the whole. The message that is given here is that whatever he does has value. And though his work is making a contribution to this environment. We depend on so many people for our living, for the food we eat, for the clothes we wear, for this conference to take place over here, isn't it? It's not one man's work. So he will have respect for all this daily work, and in the casa, this child has ample opportunities for individual contribution and appreciation of others' work. He will have respect for dignity of all human work. So practical life activities lays the foundation for a strong character and future learning. Dr. Montessori introduced these activities in 1907, and now researchers too support this idea. Eric Erikson, excuse me, a German-American child psychoanalyst, in his theory, Initiative versus Guilt, says around the ages 3 to 6, preschool children develop a sense of purpose by exploring their environment, taking initiative in play and activities, and making choices. The practical life activities also prepare the child for later activities to come, like sensorial, math, and culture. To live life to its fullest, it's important to appreciate our environment, our world, the qualities of things, and able to distinguish between minutest differences. We all know that this young child is a sensorial learner. He wants to touch things, feel things, taste things. This is because senses are the gateways to perception. They open the child's mind to the outside world. Due to sensitive period for refinement of sensory perception, the child has the opportunity to refine his power to perceive. He is urged from within to be able to distinguish and differentiate between the minutest differences from the impressions that he's taking in. Therefore, during the age group of 3 to 6 years, we provide this child with sensorial activities that help him to discriminate, drive him towards accurate observation, and enables him to abstract ideas of various qualities of matter. Thanks, Pavitra. Yeah. He builds the capacity to tell if things are identical, similar, contrasting, or different. This will enable him to compare, to discriminate far better in his life, which would lead him in making right decisions. We also have the culture area. The whole aim of doing culture is to help the child realize that we as individuals are a very tiny part of the whole world. Dr. Montessori asked us to offer the world to this 3 to 6-year-old child. As we cannot literally bring the world in our casa, we bring in the sensorial keys that help the child to make certain concepts about our world. In this area too, we start with the practical life, then we offer him the sensorial keys and give oral language with both the practical life and sensorial work. Once the child is able to read and write, he is given a lot of work around it. We follow the Montessori principles of going from the whole to the parts. We start with the sandpaper globe, where the child will understand that our world is made of land and water. He understands that we are all one. He then sees that this land consists of continents. Then comes the map of the world. Then he's shown the map of his continent. And finally, he is offered the map of his country. So here, we are helping the child to see that we as individuals are a tiny part of this world. And so we need to respect this world. To help the child have respect for this world, we have in Montessori Casa the world of plants, the world of animals, the world of art, the world of music, and now the world of sports, etc. With the activities around the world, we have a material named picture folders. We have one picture folder for one continent. In each folder, there are a set of pictures representing each of the continents, showing the landscape, the food, the transport, animals, the life of the people on each continent. Once the child is introduced to these picture folders, he is then free to work with more than one, and lastly, all of them together. He will realize that everywhere in the world, there are people. There are children like him. He may see a child working with pink towel in the folder of Europe. Everywhere people eat. It could be different food, but everybody eats. Everybody celebrates. Everywhere there is some sort of transport and so on. So he comes to see the similarities, and that is when they begin to appreciate that deep down we are all one. Over time, the child starts to see all the similarities between culture, but appreciate the differences and the variety. The child starts to develop a real love of the world they are living in. And this then leads later to responsibility, care for the plants, animals, and for everything that he finds on this earth. Responsibility and discipline come from love and knowledge. When an individual understands how essential things are, he will work with it differently. Then as adults, he will contribute to the environment to make it better. To live life to its fullest, it is also important that we are able to connect with other individuals. Social development is very important aspect, and the seeds for that has to be sowed during the early years of life, when the child is constructing his personality. Dr. Montessori strongly believed that along with the work of constructing a human being who is adapted to his time, place, and culture, the child's second work is to become a member of his society. The theme of the conference is serving one and serving all. All means society. And what do we mean by society? It refers to a large group of people who live together in an organized way, making decisions about how to do things and sharing the work that needs to be done. It consists of social relations, social customs, and how well an individual fits in the society will depend on his social development. We often hear parents and family members say that they want their children to develop socially. Yes? And usually what they mean by it is that they want that their children have a large family circle, they are comfortable in large groups, they can speak in front of them. So of course, all that type of social development is very essential, but the social development in our Montessori pedagogy we talk about is something much deeper than that. Real social development means that we become aware of others' needs and are considerate towards them and their needs. This type of social development is essential as in a society, people come together to have a sense of security, belongingness, to work collaboratively and grow individually and collectively. This leads to peaceful coexistence. An individual has to strike a balance between his personal needs and the common needs of others in the society. So social development is crucial for an individual's overall well-being, impacting his health, relationships, and happiness. We see the child's social behavior change during the two subphases of the first plane, that is from birth to 3 years and then 3 to 6. A 2-year-old will happily play beside another child without real spontaneous cooperation with that other child. But as a 5-year-old, he will have the ability to play and work together with another child. Up till 2.5 years, the child has been in the family. For us Indians, at one time when joint family system prevailed, the journey of social development began in the joint family, as there were Dada, Dadi, Chacha, Chachi, Bade Chacha, Badi Chachi, even Badi Dadi, and lots of cousins. The child learned, or rather he at that time learned to be aware of each other from them, because these adults were aware of each other. And nowadays we live in a nuclear family. So at the CASA, a new journey of social development begins for this child. To support this social development, Dr. Montessori advocated having children of mixed ages, that is from 2.5 to 6 years in the CASA, As in real life situations, an individual always finds himself amongst children of different age groups and varied backgrounds. And that's so true for us also in normal society, right? Whether we are moving in a bus or mall, nowhere are we segregated by our ages. So Dr. Montessori said, and she was of the opinion, that the charm of the social life is in the number of different types that you meet. In the CASA, the child is admitted at around 2.5, and he stays with us for 3 years. And so every year, about 1/3 of their peers are new. We have this particular mixed age group because they belong to the same plane of development, they have the same powers, and they can identify themselves with each other, right? She referred to this young child from 3 to 6 years as a social embryo. She says this period is the formation of character and of society. Though there are 30 children, all the material are in singular sets. So if a material is used by one, the other child who wishes to work with it will have to wait for his turn. The child is helped with grace and courtesy activities, that there is only one set of each material, and if you have to work with that, you need to wait for your turn. He will respect the work of the child who is working, as this is the reality of his life that he is going to experience every day. He knows that if he had been using the material, he would have expected the other child to wait. As this happens day after day, waiting for one's turn and respecting others becomes a habit, a way of life, which matures gradually as he grows in understanding. Thus, the child will learn to wait, or he will decide to choose to work with another material, which is also satisfactory. This experience is the social reality of life, and it develops the quality of patience. Being able to deny immediate impulses leads the child to spontaneous development of character. The younger child, if he finds a difficulty with a particular activity and the adult is not available or is busy somewhere, he may approach an older child for help. The older ones willingly respond, explain the activity to this younger child. And these explanations are very valuable, as the mind of the 5-year-old is closer to the mind of a 3-year-old. And the young child easily understands what is being told to him. The older children become a source of inspiration, heroes for the younger ones, and they feel protective towards them. There is a feeling of mutual love, respect, and admiration. Children spontaneously admire each other's work and feel proud in showing others' work or informing others' positive efforts to the adults. This capacity of responding becomes a part of their personality. Once it becomes a part of oneself, helping someone when required becomes a natural response. Then as adults too, they are the ones who instinctively do what is needed, respond in the best possible way. Okay, thank you. My timer is pointing to me. Where was I? Respond in the best possible way for any aspects in their life, whether it's the family, the environment, society, etc. Also, as there is only one set of material, there is no competition, there is no comparison of who performs faster or better. Parents often worry if there is no competition, no ranks, no rewards, no punishments. How will this child cope as he grows up in this competitive world? Our answer to them is that even when you do compete, you can only do your level best, isn't it? Because of the tendency for perfection, the child is always trying to make his work better than what he did earlier. He loves to overcome challenge. Each time he tries to do it better than what he did the last time. As he's used to giving his best, he would do the same in a competitive exam later in life. And if someone fares better, he will not be dejected, as he knows that he did his level best and will be happy and at peace with himself, and for the other who may be scored a bit higher than him. Psychologist Vygotsky in his theory of zone proximal development highlights how peer interactions, particularly in mixed age groups, can facilitate learning and development. The zone proximal development represents the gap between what a learner can do independently and what they can achieve with guidance or collaboration from a more knowledgeable other, including older or more skilled peers. This collaborative process, often referred to as scaffolding, involves providing support and guidance that is gradually withdrawn as the learner's competence increases. Thus, at the CASA, he gets exposed to social exchanges where foundations of his social development are laid. Building a relationship with his peers who may be younger, equal, or senior to him. Being a member of a social group where he is willing to give attention and praise and receiving attention and recognition from others. Feel responsible and cooperating in group activities, sharing things, and celebrating new experiences. In the CASA, they also learn to solve their problems without adults' interference. The educator on her part presents social grace and courtesy activities to the children to help them adapt to the norms of their culture. These activities are presented to a group of children and they are at liberty to practice these norms in their daily life. As it is only with practice and experience when one can acquire this behavior. There are no materials involved in this area, so it is the educator's responsibility to see children get an opportunity to practice them independently. Any activity under the sun could be presented in this area. It could be certain limits that we need to establish, like how to walk in the class, activities, how the activities are taken when they are only on the shelf, respecting the material, etc., or certain activities that we know that will help him with his daily life, like how to blow one's nose, how to excuse oneself, how to serve a guest, introduce oneself, how to ask for help, how to decline help, and so on. Or being courteous to others even when there is no direct contact. Leaving the wash basin clean after use. What to do after combing your hair and washing your hair. We know what happens, right? So anything could be offered in these area. Or if we know that when a child tells that my grandparents are going to come and visit me, then we could give him some grace and courtesies around that. He will be grateful that he knows what he needs to do at that particular time. So based on our observation, we need to present these grace and courtesy activities at an opportune time and not to a particular child who needs it, but to a group so that the child does not feel that he is singled out. In the child's acts of grace, courtesy, and social cooperation, we see lived expressions of Saparya. At home, the parents too have to understand that their child will grow up and be a part of society, where things will not always happen as per his wish. If the child has always had his way as a young child, it will be difficult for him to go out in the world and face realities. Today, the term soft parenting is used in major cities. Parents have to be made aware of what it actually entails, along with aspects like being gentle, no punishments, etc. It also includes setting consistent boundaries, delayed gratification, and allowing the child to face consequences of the choice he has made. Dr. Samir Dalwai, a leading developmental and behavioral pediatrician in Mumbai, says that parents make their child's life difficult by trying to make it too easy. Disappointment is a way of life. If we keep the child away from disappointment, then the child will not be able to bear life. He goes on to say that the most important thing to make your child successful is the ability to help others. His mantra to make the child successful is serve to succeed. That's Saparya. As adult guides, we have to remember that though the child constructs himself by his own efforts, he can only do that with his experiences in his environment, which also consists of us adults. We need to reach out to as many adults as we can to help them understand the child's powers, his needs, and his developmental process. I'm sure many of us have witnessed where an adult's logic, behavior changes where his own child or grandchild is concerned. Yes? As adults, we need to be consistent with our thinking. If we think that something is acceptable for our children, then it is acceptable for other children too. Or if I expect other children to be polite and take care of my child, then my child should also be polite and take care of others. In our culture, particularly in the business culture, we have a saying, "Vyaj nu vyaj vadhare valu hoy," right? Which means that the interest received on interest is dearer, right? My father would tell me and my younger sister, you have to eat what is cooked. If you don't like this vegetable, separate vegetable will not be cooked for you. You can make do with dal and roti, okay? But now, where his grandson is concerned, we see what happens. The first thing he tells us is, "Ene je bhave hi banao jo." Please make sure that you cook what he likes. Otherwise, I will not eat. He even goes to that extent. Okay? So I used to think maybe as a grandparent, we all change. But that is not the case. If we really understand what is good for the child, then we will have love for the child, which is not a restricting emotional love, but the one that wants the best for the other being. This kind of love is the soul of the Montessori adult. It enables him or her to do what is essential for the well-being of the child, even if it means to say a consistent no for certain things. All Montessorians over here know or would have heard the name of Judy Orion. For those who do not know her, she is a very senior, experienced trainer, both for the birth to 3 and 3 to 6 level. She had shared an anecdote in one of the Montessori matters, and that's where I have taken this from. She used to visit her daughter's family during Christmas. Then her daughter and son-in-law would go on a holiday, and Judith would be with her 2 granddaughters. Rather than narrating, I'm going to quote her over here, the quote. "If you do not want to eat, just say, I'm finished with my meal, and excuse yourself from the table, or you can stay and just talk to us. If it is not necessary to eat if you have finished eating, but when you have finished eating, the food is finished." My granddaughter had to test that, and when she was around 4 years old. She missed 4 consecutive meals because she would misbehave at the table. I would ask her, "What do we have to do when we are misbehaving at the table?" She would answer that she had to go to her room. "Okay, see you then." Then she would come back expecting to eat, and I would apologize and say, I have given her food to the dog. Okay? She was absolutely disbelieving. It took her 4 meals before she realized this was true, after which she stopped misbehaving at the table. Consider this scenario, where the grandmother who comes once a year is depriving her grandchild of food. It is very tough, but it is based on love. She missed meals, but ate healthy snacks of fruits or vegetable sticks, and she was not starving. The meal itself was an issue with her. She just couldn't believe that I could do something so horrible. Okay? So she goes on to say that the thing is that the children are very quick learners. For each adult in their life, they know which button to push. They know which issue creates a reaction from that adult, and they can play it. The idea of talking to the children and explaining why you have the limit is pointless, okay? Unquote. So it is extremely important that we adults are consistent with what we do and what we tell the child and expect from them. Oops, sorry. Based on the Harvard's extensive study of adult development, life for adults is fundamentally about the quality of relationships, which are the strongest predictor of long-term happiness, health, and longevity, even more than money or career success. With close, warm connections protecting against stress, improving mental health, and fostering physical well-being. Key life lessons involve prioritizing social fitness, cultivating trust and support, and actively nurturing connections to build resilience and a truly good life. Oops. Okay. So Montessori education, if practiced as Dr. Montessori intended, with the mixed age groups advocated strongly at each age and with all the principles being practiced fully, enables the child to learn how to live as part of a social group, to build and nurture relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Doing this becomes a habit, and this habit accompanies the child as he develops into an adult, thus enabling the child to build resilience and a truly good life. Thank you.